You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Trump may have just exposed himself to grounds for impeachment based on an article by Nick Hilden. Trump turned the Justice Department into a personal escape hatch. The power is where the money is. This story is not about procedural confusion or bureaucratic miscommunication. It is about a president using the machinery of the state to protect himself, his allies, and his criminals. Donald Trump was on both sides of the lawsuit, installed his former personal lawyer Todd Blanche as acting attorney general, and walked away with a settlement that created a $1.776 billion anti-weaponization fund and granted him and his family immunity from tax-related prosecution. That is not governance. It is self-dealing with a seal of office stamped on top. The real decision was the corruption. The decisive act was not Trump's latest post complaining about Senate Republicans. It was the earlier choice to settle a case in a way that converted public authority into private protection. Blanche, a former Trump lawyer, is the instrument here. Trump is the beneficiary. The IRS becomes the forced backdrop for a deal that looks less like law than like a loyalty rebate. The source correctly treats this as corruption, but the deeper point is simpler. Power followed personal allegiance, not any public standard. The office was used to shield the man who controls the office. Misdirection is the point. Republican Senators John Cornyn and Tom Tillis are described as holdouts, but the source makes clear their objection is narrow and self-protective. They are not objecting to the premise of authoritarian graft. They are objecting to Blanche refusing to put in writing that the fund and immunity would be canceled. That is not institutional courage. It is bargaining over the terms of the theft, and Trump's own admission cuts through the theater. He is willing to pull Blanche's nomination before he gives up the fund and the immunity. That tells you exactly what matters to him. Not confirmation, not legality, not even the veneer of cabinet staffing, but the preservation of a protection racket dressed up as settlement language. The weakest targets get the blame. The article's framing usefully highlights impeachment, but the larger danger is that the political system keeps making the scandal sound like a technicality. The real scandal is not that Republicans are inconsistent. It is that the state was bent around Trump's personal liabilities. Then the resulting outrage gets translated into a beltway argument about whether Democrats can digest enough counts. That is how political systems sanitize corruption. They turn a regime crime into a messaging problem. Democrats should not treat this as a one-off gift handed to them by Trump's stupidity. They should treat it as evidence of a governing method, capture the justice apparatus, monetize it, protect the boss, and dare everyone else to keep up with the paperwork. A system built for extraction. The article points to a pattern bigger than one settlement. Trump does not merely seek to avoid accountability. He wants the state to validate his impunity in writing. He wants the bureaucracy to bless the spoilage. He wants allies inside the government to convert public power into private immunity and then call the result reform. That is the architecture of authoritarian corruption. Not just lawlessness, but law repurposed as cover. What this story really shows, the political meaning here is not subtle. A president used his office to engineer personal immunity, to reward loyalists, and to extract value from institutions meant to restrain him. When that bargain became inconvenient, he exposed the priority order himself, the slush fund, and the immunity matter more than the nomination. That is the confession. The rest is cleanup language. If Democrats are serious about democratic power, they should stop talking as if this is mainly a scandal of excess or tone. It is a demonstration of capture. The task is not to manage the corruption more elegantly. It is to break the machinery that lets a president turn the government into a personal defense fund. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to AlterNet for today's article. With the automated voice of LJ, thanks for listening.